Over the past week, there's been ample speculation about the company G&L Guitars. Many rumours suggest that G&L is about to close its doors and shut down the company. And it's not looking good as they've been furloughing staff. Of course, this is devastating news and I feel so bad for the employees of this company, but in today's episode, we're going to have a little chat about G&L Guitars and the amazing guitar models that they make. So without further ado, let's get straight into this Squealing Pig Guitars video. Hello guitarists, welcome back to Squealing Pig Guitars, the home of luxury drum machines here in Nottingham, England. My name is Keightley and today we're going to be talking about G&L Guitars. I'm sure many of you have seen on online forums and YouTube videos that G&L have had some rumours about them closing. It's been confirmed that the owners have furloughed a lot of staff, and obviously there's been speculation about them closing their doors or getting bought out by a different company. Of course, this is all speculation and not been 100% confirmed by G&L yet, but we thought we'd use this as an opportunity to chat to you about G&L Guitars and really get your guys' opinion about this move. But before we get to that conclusion, we have to talk a little bit about the history of G&L, as I think it's very interesting and it's a history that I'm not too familiar with. When doing research for today's video, I was actually very surprised about the history of G&L and their guitar models. So sit back, relax, and let's talk a little bit about G&L Guitars. So I've got all my notes about G&L on my laptop because I don't want to get anything wrong today, but basically the company was founded in 1979 by Leo Fender, George Fullerton, and Dale Hyatt. Essentially, the name G&L is George and Leo. G&L was often described by Leo as building the best instruments I have ever made, in quotation marks. Known for innovations like the saddle lock bridge and magnetic field design pickups, G&L guitar and basses carried out the DNA of Fender instruments, but with a little bit of a twist. And originally they were all built in the Fullerton factory in California, which is where the Fender company started. Of course, to this day, they still make American-made models, but they're better known for their Far Eastern models now. It's often that people say that G&L is the most Fender guitar that you can get. Of course, at the end of the day, Leo Fender was an inventor. He wanted to innovate the guitar model. He didn't want to just stick with the classic designs. So when you look at the G&L model range, you'll see that there's some funky looking pickups. They tend to be a little bit more clunky in design, but they're a lot thicker than Fender guitars. They also have some really cool tops, which at the time, Fender wasn't really known for. So it makes you question whether G&L guitars are actually better than Fenders. They're actually arguably more Fender in design. They're kind of using that more innovative styling and they're really in line with what Leo Fender wanted for the guitar. One of the main lines that really kept G&L afloat was the Tribute line introduced in 2003. These were a cheaper line of guitars made in Korea, actually in the same factory as Cork guitars are made, which we reviewed on the channel. The pickups used are all originally made by G&L in Fullerton, California, and in recent years the production of these guitars has been moved to Indonesia. As of 2020, the Tribute line contains many of the standard guitars from G&L, including the Comanche, the S500, and various ASAT models. So now let's get on to present day. What is going on with G&L? So G&L sound like a fantastic company creating revolutionary guitars, but what is the problem? Well, over the past week, they have been listed as defunct, with reports that the Fullerton factory had ceased operations and employees were laid off. While there's been no official press release from G&L or the parent company BBE Sounds, multiple employee reports and community discussions point to a full shutdown of operations.
Make sure to check out Rex Shull's video on this topic. He really inspired me to make this video, not only kind of documenting the story, but also reviewing G&L guitars. So make sure to check out his video if you haven't already.
Of course, this could be due to many reasons, but one of them that comes to mind is the idea of American tariffs. Obviously, it sounds like G&L would source a lot of their parts from overseas, including parts for their hardware and their pickups. Although manufactured in the US, they'll obviously have to source product outside of the USA. Therefore, they have to pay tariffs and it brings the cost up. G&L have also always been known for being quite affordable instruments. Even the high-end American line would come in under £2,000. It's also been discussed that the size of G&L is smaller than the Fender Custom Shop. However, the amount of money that they make is way lower than the Fender Custom Shop. So it's quite easy to see how a company like this may shut its doors. It's such a shame though, it's devastating news when we hear guitar companies going bust, especially historic ones like G&L. Me personally, I've never had much experience with G&L, and I always feel like over the years their marketing hasn't been the best. I never really understood what they are until I did my research for today's video. Some rumors suggest that they might have been bought out by Fender, but again, this has not been confirmed, this is just speculation. I do think it would be awesome to see Fender buy out G&L because they could have a new section to either their Japanese line of guitars or higher end custom shop guitars. Seeing a custom shop version of the Comanche series or one of their Tele designs would be awesome, especially the pickup designs and the slightly thicker body shapes. I feel like they have a bit more of that Gibson DNA in areas, and I think it offers a more unique design to players. For me, I've been playing guitar for about 12 years now, and I've never heard of G&L guitars been spoken about on YouTube, and I've never had one in my hands other than a couple of weeks ago. They're a brand for me that have been quite confusing in marketing. I knew Leo Fender was associated with them, but I've always seen them as a very small company. However, with the right marketing, talking about Leo Fender's innovations and the idea of them being built in California in the Fullerton factory, I really think they have a great brand that could be profitable in the future. However, I do think they need Fender in order to do this. They need the story, they need the marketing, and most importantly, they need to be making amazing guitars. So I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see what happens to G&L. Fingers crossed they get bought out or they find a way to keep going. It would be devastating to hear them shut down. But that is the history of G&L and a little bit of information about what's going on at the moment. Of course, this is all speculation and rumors. Nothing has been confirmed, so take this video with a grain of salt. But I'd love to hear your thoughts down below, guys. What do you think's happening to G&L? Do you think they're going to shut their doors forever, or do you think they'll be acquired by a different company? However, I thought at the end of this video, I would show you one of the G&L guitars that we have in stock at the moment. It's their ASAT model, or the ASAT. It's basically their Tele design, and it's really cool. So I wanted to show you before we finish up today. So let me grab the case and let's have a look at this beautiful G&L guitar. So I've got the case all ready to go, coming in a very high quality, it's almost like a Ibanez style case, to be honest. And obviously got the G&L logo on the front here, which is nice to see. Wow, what a beauty. So here we are, guys. We've got the beautiful G&L guitar in my hand now. And as you can see, it obviously got a little bit of Fender DNA, but it really has that custom shop nature about it. This is a custom order from 2003, and we've actually got the certificate of authenticity with this one. And it's actually signed by the honorary chairman, which is Leo Fender's wife. Of course, at this point, Leo Fender had sadly passed away. But we've got a really cool certificate of authenticity on this one. As I mentioned, it is a custom order. So the official model name of this is the G&L US Deluxe ASAT Special Custom Order Light Burst from 2003. We have some really cool exotic wood on this one. So we have an Akume body, which has a very similar tonal characteristic to mahogany, but it's a lot lighter. We then have a lovely flamed maple top on this one. It looks a bit like a veneer, but it's quite a thick veneer, but it's not as thick as like a PRS top, for example. We then have a maple neck with some very interesting inlays, looking really cool there. Of course, we've got the G&L headstock, which is quite a strange looking headstock, if I'm being honest. But we've got nice logo on there with the G&L branded tuners, obviously G&L branded backplate. And then we have some interesting pickups in these. These are actually the MFD, the magnetic field design pickups that I mentioned previously. In the neck, we have the G&L large MFD, and in the bridge we have the G&L Super ASAT MFD, which is a higher wound custom pickup. This guitar also features the G&L saddle lock bridge, which is obviously an innovation that Leo Fender came up with just for G&L guitars. We have a three-way position switch, one volume, one tone. I have to say this guitar is very high-end indeed, feeling like a kind of thicker version of a Tele. It's quite a thick neck on it and a thick body. Feels almost like a more adult version of a Telecaster, if I'm being honest. A couple of weeks ago, we got one of their Comanches, I think I'm saying that right, one of them models, and it's like a Strat style one. And I wasn't as big of a fan of how that guitar felt. It kind of felt like a fake Fender. However, this feels like a really high-end custom-built Telecaster. It feels a little bit Fendery, but it's just something a little bit new. And to think that this was made in 2003, before brands like Sir and other boutique manufacturers were as famous, it's great to see that they were already doing this. It's a shame really to think that these guitars may die out, but it's awesome that we've got one here today to kind of document it for the channel. So enough talking about this guitar, let's plug it in and see how it sounds. I have to say I'm very excited to hear these MFD pickups in action, so let's go to the tone demonstration. So guys, I'm all set up for the tone demonstration. I've got the 2-Rock Bloomfield drive on the clean channel at the moment, and I'm gonna hear these beautiful MFD pickups. I've just had a little strum now, and they've got a really cool single coil voicing, just with a little bit more of a airiness, I guess is the right term. Really nice on that neck pickup. Let's hear it. Tone, let's bring down the tone control a bit. just put some fast fret on, so I'm kind of slipping and sliding all over the place, so sorry for any wrong notes there. I love the sound of the pickups, I love the look of the guitar. The one problem I have with this guitar is that the frets are tiny on it. I don't know if they've worn down over the years or if that was how they were designed, but I could do with a little bit more fret as I feel like I'm sliding a little bit too much. That might be the fast fret, but also I do think the frets are quite narrow on this one and small. Let's hear the middle position. Oh, that's very telly. Let's hit the bridge pickup. So obviously it does that telly twang really well. Let's switch on to the overdrive channel and see how them pickups react. So lead gain channel, let's hear it. Wow, that's got a really cool overdrive tone. I actually prefer the overdriven tones on that bridge pickup than the clean tones. It's a little bit plinky plonky on the clean tones, but let's hear the neck pickup now. So I have to say, tonally speaking, this guitar has a great voice on the distortion channel, but I do find them a little bit hard to play. I do think a lot of it comes down to the neck. I think it's just like the frets could do with being a little bit bigger and it'd be a lot more comfortable to play. But let's pile on some distortion now and see how heavy we can go with the bridge pickup. Pretty cool tone, still very telly obviously. Add some fuzz, let's hear it. So guys, that's the end of the tone demonstration of this G&L guitar. Let's go to the outro of this video and conclude this video. So guys, that is the end of this Squealing Pig Guitars video all about G&L guitars. I'm really intrigued to hear about what you guys have to say about this story. Do you think G&L have been bought out by Fender, or do you think they've shut down for good? Let me know all the information that you know down below. Of course, I did a little bit of research for this video, but I may have said stuff that was wrong, so correct me down below if I have said anything wrong. But this was just a little bit of an overview of the story, as well as talking about some awesome guitar models that G&L make. In terms of a rating of this G&L ASAT model, or ASAT, I'm still not sure which one you call it, let me know down below. But I'm gonna give it a 7.5 out of 10. For me, it really propelled the Telly design into the future. It was way more comfortable than a standard Telly for me, and I really like the pickups. For me though, the neck felt a little bit sharp, it was a little bit cheap feeling on the neck, but I really like the top, so it was very beautiful indeed. So yeah, 7.5 for that beautiful G&L. But as always guys, thank you so much for watching this Squealing Pig Guitars video. If you're new to the channel, make sure to hit subscribe, comment your thoughts down below, and make sure to leave a like on the video if you've enjoyed. But my name is Ben Keightley, this is Squealing Pig Guitars, and I'll see you tomorrow for another video. But until then, keep rocking guys, I'll see you soon.